Hey yo, so the reason behind me making this video at this point of time is like there was this question I bumped into while making my previous video that a few people feel like they are inherently bad and they cannot change themselves into something good even if they wish to, or even if they put efforts into it. So why does this happen? Why does few people feel like they are bad even if their surrounding or every other person around them tells them that they have been a good person, that they are kind and they are empathetic and everything, but none of it matters, as a person who sees himself as a bad person uh, won't give into what our other people think of him. So that's where we are going to go. And so let us maybe so the thing is, this happens with me often, and oftentimes I feel like I am a bad person inherently, and there is something wrong with me, and no matter how much try, I cannot pass that phase or that wall that I have built around me. And most of the times, I think this happens because of the things we have done in our younger days, like when we didn't have any idea, or our conscious wasn't mature enough to differentiate between what good and bad was, and we did do things that were wrong and that did hurt uh, other people's lives, and it did hurt them emotionally. And that's why we carry this guilt of carry this guilt of hurting other people, and that stays, and that's gonna stay forever with us. And that's what makes it very difficult for us to forgive ourselves. And that's where the core of it lies, I guess. There are point in our lives where we were young and, as I said before, not mature enough to differentiate between good and bad, and we did do things without a second thought, and later on we realized that those things were bad things, and that those things ended up hurting other people. And that's why we feel like we are bad, or that we deserve only bad things and not the good things that come to us. So this is how I see it. Like as I have like told in my previous video as well, and I was just brainstorming my thoughts, the video that I named "No One Will Watch It," and that seems to be true. No one will watch these videos ever, or maybe someone will bump into it eventually, but I don't care about it anyways. So like there is this point A where you are born, and there is this point B where you did things which were maybe bad and not morally right, and maybe ended up hurting other people, maybe your friends and the closed ones that you had at that point of time. And there is point C where you are now. So what happens is, at point B you were not mature enough, like I was not mature enough to differentiate or to understand what I was doing. So I did do things for fun, and it was fun actually at that moment, or maybe it was something my mind didn't know how to categorize. So I did things, just things, and I kept doing them, and didn't realize the impact of it, the consequences of it. And when I reached point C, where my conscious is a little elevated and is a little more mature than what it was before, So now when I look at point B, when I look back, I realize I have fucked up people's lives. Maybe. Not maybe, I guess. I for sure have fucked up a few lives, and now that I realize it, it feels like I should be punished for what I had done. And the punishment never comes actually. Like, it hasn't come to this moment. Like, I have waited for it for years. I have literally asked for it uh, to God or whatever higher entity we have in this world, or may if it is there, if it exists. So I have begged for the punishment and it never arrived. So what I have concluded is the best punishment for a person who is asking for punishment is not giving him a punishment. You gotta think about that a little. I mean, if you give a person what he is asking for, then you are relieving him from his, it won't hurt a person. Like, if I'm asking you to punch me, and if you punch me, so that means my wish is fulfilled in a way, and that won't hurt me. It, of course, it will hurt me physically, but in my mind I got something I wanted, so it won't feel like a punishment. But if I'm asking for you to punch me, like, it won't hurt me, or it won't frustrate me, or it won't feel like a punishment to me. And now if I'm asking you to punch me, like, it's something I need, and you don't punch me, you refuse to punch me, so it would act as a punishment. Like, it would hurt me in a way that a punishment would. So I don't know if you guys get it, or if I'm able to articulate my thoughts properly. So that's how it was for me, and it is for me. Like, when I look back from this point C, I see my past, and I feel like I have done bad things and I deserve to be punished. And I at maybe I overlooked the fact that I wasn't consciously aware of of the consequences of what I did. So the best way to come out of this spiral of am I a bad person is to know that you were not conscious of things that you did, and now you are at a better level of consciousness, or better level of maturity, that now that you have learned a few things, you have learned kindness, you have learned empathy, and you have learned a lot more things that you didn't know before. So now you have a moral compass, and which says you did bad things before, and for that, a, a person who does that deserves to receive a punishment and doesn't deserve good things. And that's why we get stuck, I guess. That's why we feel like we don't deserve good, because we did something wrong in the past. But that's the riddle, or that's the paradox, and the way to solve it is to look at it from a third person maybe point of view. Like, the thing you can say to yourself is, I wasn't aware of my actions back then, and that's the reason I have done those things. If like, you can question yourself, if you were aware of the impact of the things that you have done, would you have done them in the first place? If the answer is no, then you have the answer. Like, then you know that you wouldn't have done things if you knew better. So that's the only way to forgive yourself, maybe. And And I'll add one more thing to it, like you can always try to be a better person. You can always try to be more kind than you were before. So that's what I've been doing for long. And I thought like my kindness, the good things I do now, will somehow balance the bad things that I have done, but guilt always overpowers everything. So know that, mm, no matter how much good you do at this point, it won't balance out. It never does what you have done in the past. So the only way out is to realize that you were not mature enough at that point in the past that you think of. So, and now that you have grown a level of maturity, that you realize the things you did were bad, but you cannot do anything about it. Like, it's like forgiving your previous self or forgiving your younger self for the mistake he did because he wasn't aware or he wasn't conscious enough of his acts. It's like forgiving a child for doing something wrong because the child didn't know those things were wrong. So know that, and that's the only way, I guess, to forgive yourself for the things you have done in the past. I don't know if this video makes sense to you, but it did to me, and I found a way finally at last to forgive myself. And I am still learning, but like I don't think I have completely forgiven myself, but I'm learning, and it seems to be working, and that's why I wanted to share this with you all, if any if there is anyone watching this. So I was that's what I had decided for today's video. So to summarize once again, know that the things you did in the past, you did because only because you were not conscious of the consequences. You were not mature enough to decide between what's good and what's bad. So stop blaming your current self for things you did in the past when you were not mature. Stop blaming yourself, and no matter how much good you do, it won't balance out anything. So seeing it for what it is the only way out, and that's what the truth is. The truth is you were not conscious of the results of your actions, and that can happen, and that happens all the time. So that's the only way, I guess. I still don't know if I have put enough of my thoughts in this video to maybe convince someone to forgive themselves, but I guess the video will end up being too long and me spiraling around the same things again and again. So this is where I wish it to end. And the last few words for this videos is me wishing you the best to try and be a better person, and believe that you are a better person than you were. Look at what you were and what you are at the moment, and this is what matters. This is past. It matters, but it doesn't define who you are, whereas this defines who you are, as this is the present moment. If you find yourself being empathetic and being kind and being helpful to people around you, then what you did doesn't matter. it doesn't matter. Maybe in your conscious it does, but know that that's just your brain trying to fit this version of yourself in this uplifted or more conscious version of yourself. Like you are judging a person who wasn't conscious through a lens of person who is conscious. I don't know if I'm making sense at this point, but I guess you get it. So best luck for this journey, and make sure you don't get stuck in the previous version of yourself. If you are like I said, if you find yourself uh, being empathetic, being kind to people, being helpful to people at this moment, that means you are at a better place, and that's where you can forgive your previous self, the version of you that was careless. So that's the only way to forgive yourself, and I too am on the same journey, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. So that's that's where this video ends. So once again, best luck for that, and best luck for your dreams and everything. Listen to your heart, as it knows all the answers. It has all the answers. That's what I think, and that's what I live by actually. So a few bonus things: that I have completed this ski mask that I was like halfway in the previous video, and that's it, I guess. So keep listening to your heart and be kind and smile a little. This is Lost Kid Jack signing off.